Winter 2011. Point Pleasant, West Virginia. Heading home after a visit with relatives, John Hypes and his wife are driving north on Route 2. Suddenly, out of the darkness, a figure appears standing on a small bridge.
So I started to slow down thinking it was a deer, probably within 75 yards or so. This, what I thought was a deer, stood up. That had the figure of a man between 6 and 7 foot tall. And at that point in time, it looked like a wing come off the left side toward the road, still with the bright lights on, and it jumped off the bridge. My wife did not want me to stop at all. She wanted to get out of the area as quickly as we could. I grew up in Point Pleasant, so I was well aware of the Mothman. And quite frankly, I have wondered if I was going to have anything dreadful happen to me because of seeing this creature.
For more than half a century, researchers and paranormal investigators have been exploring the possibility that a winged monster known as the Mothman could be real. Theories abound as to just what the Mothman is, but if the accounts of it are true, it is unlike any creature on Earth.
What people describe is a man-like figure standing about 6.5 feet tall, with a low slung or no head, large black wings, giant red glowing eyes, which are said to have a hypnotic effect on people and put them into a sort of trance. It's really like nothing of this earth.
The citizens of Point Pleasant, West Virginia have lived with the mystery of the Mothman for decades. In 2002, author John Keel's book, The Mothman Prophecies, became a Hollywood movie, transforming Mothman from a mere local legend into a worldwide crypto celebrity, making Point Pleasant a destination for those drawn to the mystery.
We get visitors 12 months a year from all over the world. And it comes to a big conclusion at the Mothman Festival, which is in September every year, when we triple the size of our town. Imagine everyone in Point Pleasant inviting their relatives home for the weekend, and they all come home. That's what it's like on Mothman weekend.
The Mothman is such a huge phenomenon in Point Pleasant that it even has its own museum.
The Mothman Museum began in around 2006. The culmination of a lot of archives, newspaper clippings, videos, things like that that I've collected over the past 30, 40 years. You know, people want to know what happened, you know, if it was real, if it wasn't.
But is all this talk of a Mothman just a wild campfire story gone out of control? Or is there a disturbing reality behind the bizarre legend? 8 miles north of Point Pleasant is the McClintic Wildlife Management Area, a 3,600-acre wilderness known to locals as the TNT Area, a reference to the type of explosive that was being manufactured here during World War II.
The TNT Area was a military installation created by the government at the beginning of World War II.
And they also created these igloo-type buildings where the TNT would be stored. After the close of the Second World War, what happened was the area was largely just left to rack and ruin.
This facility was abandoned, but all the structures were left there. And the igloos are nothing but a modern powder magazine. All the igloos are still out there.
The fact that explosives were being manufactured in this area, that perhaps there may have been covert military experiments in chemicals, you'd be hard-pressed to find a better setting for a monster.
But could a monster really be hiding out in this abandoned military installation? According to Mothman researchers and cryptozoologists, the answer is a disturbing yes. Because it was here that the first recorded sighting of the Mothman took place on the night of November 15th, 1966.
Two young couples were motoring through the TNT area one night. As they passed an old building known as the power plant, They claim that they saw this strange winged creature at the entrance. And what really got their attention were these giant red glowing eyes. When they took off out of the TNT area, much to their horror, this thing chased them at speeds of over 100 miles an hour, all the way back to the town of Point Pleasant.
The terrorized witnesses reported the incident to local police.
We have copies of the original handwritten police reports and depositions that were written for the Mason County Sheriff's Department. When they went to the Sheriff's Department, they asked the 4 witnesses, the 2 couples, to sit in separate rooms and be isolated from each other and to write out what exactly happened, what did they see.
Much to the surprise of the Mason County Sheriff's Department, the 2 couples gave identical accounts. They described a man-like creature with wings, approximately 6 feet tall, light gray in color.
The most common thing that these witnesses talked about was the red eyes. They were almost hypnotic.
The investigating officer knew these initial eyewitnesses. It's a very small town, and everybody knew everybody, and he knew that they were very upright, very honest young people, and he could actually see the fear in their eyes when they came and reported this to him.
The headlines in the Point Pleasant Register read, "Couple sees bird, creature, something." That immediately hit the press and word spread.
In the following days, several more people reported seeing the strange creature in nearby communities. Some reporters initially called it the Mason County Monster, or the Bird. But the creature eventually became known far and wide as the Mothman.
The name Mothman is a little bit of a misnomer. None of the eyewitness accounts describe it as looking anything like a moth or an insect. That's merely based on the name, which was actually created by the media.
At the time of the creature's initial sightings, there were many, including local hunters and zoologists, who insisted that what they saw looked like a type of enormous bird.
One of the theories was that it was a sandhill crane. It was a bird on a migrating route towards the south that just happened to stop here in Point Pleasant. Some people thought it was just an enormous owl, but most owls don't stand 6 to 7 feet tall.
But those who had come face to face with the Mothman were certain that what they had seen was no owl or crane, and eventually, the number of reported sightings grew too large to ignore.
Over a 1.5 year period, there were over 100 reported sightings from other people. Reporters, TV crews, news stations descended up on the town.
Everyone went out to look for it. I was in the back seat of my parents' cars along with a bunch of other kids, and there was a line of traffic out there looking for this 6-foot bird. But then some people started seeing it, and no one really wants to see it again after they've seen it once.
5 decades later, curiosity seekers are still drawn to the Mothman's flame and swarm to the TNT area in search of the monster. But are they chasing a tall tale or an actual creature that continues to terrorize the people of West Virginia?